ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله جل في العلا، وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue from last week, أن الآيات المباركات الكريمات التي أنزلها الله تبارك وتعالى في شأن أصحاب الكهف، فقال الله جل في العلا في محكم تنزيله: وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا. وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه. ذلك من آيات الله من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه. ذلك من آيات الله من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد. لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا. وكذلك بعثناهم ليتساءلوا بينهم قال قائل منهم كم لبثتم؟ قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم. قالوا ربكم أعلم بما لبثتم فابعثوا أحدكم بورقكم هذه إلى المدينة فلينظر أيها أزكى طعاما فليأتكم برزق منه وليتلطف ولا يشعرن بكم أحدا إنهم إن يظهروا عليكم يرجموكم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم ولن تفلحوا إذا أبدا. As Allah Ta'ala says in His book, as we were talking about the story of the companions of the cave, and we said, Ya Ma'ashul Ikhwa, that the companions of the cave, that the whole story was talking about the monotheism of Allah and how they fled away from the people of polytheism and how they separated themselves and disassociated themselves and totally cut themselves off from what they were upon, the polytheism, and embarking upon worship of other than Allah. And we talked about how Allah gave them a better exchange when they embarked upon the monotheism of Allah and the unification of Allah in His worship and singling out Allah in His worship. Allah gave them a better exchange. And we talked about how the story, Ya Ma'ashul Ikhwa, how it totally destroys polytheism. And as we talked about how the whole Quran and from beginning to end is in establishing the worship of Allah Ta'ala alone. All of it, from beginning to end. For those who truly have understanding and fiqh of the Quran, just as Ibn al-Qayyim had explained, that the Quran from beginning to end is establishing the unification and is singling out Allah and His worship and destroying polytheism in all of its aspects. Then after that is the rights of monotheism, which is the obedience that comes from the salawat and the siyam and hajj and umrah and good tithes and keeping your ties with your family and staying away from fornication and staying away from zina and establishing families and growing and raising children. All these affairs are from the rights of monotheism. Because if the rights of monotheism is not valid, then all the other actions are invalid, ya ma'ashal ikhwa. So Allah Ta'ala wanted to lay down the haqq and destroy batil from polytheism. And also, as we talked about last week, that we said during the time of the people, meaning the people of the cave or the companions of the cave, the people had doubt of the resurrection of Allah, meaning that Allah was able to bring life after death, meaning when the people are in their graves. When they are in their graves, either being a state of paradise or a garden from the gardens of paradise, or it being a pit from the pit of hell. As that's the reality for all of us, that our abode inevitably will be in the grave. And that grave, like we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, is either rawdatun riyad al-jannah or hufratun min hufar al-nar. As Imam Ahmed says in his book Usul al-Sunnah, that the hellfire, the grave, is either a garden from the gardens of paradise or it's a pit of the pit of hell. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to allow us to die in a state of iman, where our aqidah is pure, and we're meeting Him in the best state, Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. For ya ma'ashal ikhwa, as we talked about last week, as it says in the ayat, that Allah Ta'ala wanted to refute more falsehood. The falsehood is that of the people during the time wanted to had a misunderstanding and an ambiguity, had some doubt in the ability of Allah. Where they said that Allah will raise the souls on the day of resurrection without the bodies. So Allah wanted to establish more truth and nullify more batil. Allah wanted to establish more truth and destroy and annihilate more falsehood. As we talked about last week, Allah Ta'ala caused the companions of the cave to die, because we know that's a characteristic of His rububiyyah. And that is from the evidences that Allah establishes to show that He deserves to be worshipped. When He caused them to die, فَأَمَاتَهُمْ, then Allah Ta'ala caused them to die. Then He raised them after 309 years and preserved their bodies, in which, like you will find in the ayat, in which Allah Ta'ala says about the cave, that when it rose, in the sky, as we talked about, as the sun had ascended in the sky, that the rays would peak inside of the cave, as we said. And it would be in a manner where it would not decompose their bodies. Rather, it was in a manner that preserved their bodies. And likewise, that wind that Allah Ta'ala allowed to enter the cave, which played likewise a role in preservation of their bodies. For 309 years, and Allah Ta'ala likewise, while they were asleep, their eyes were still wide awake, or their eyes were still wide open, as it says in the ayat. As Allah Ta'ala says in His book, after that, after He raised them after 309 years, He brought life back to them. Which is to clearly show that Allah has the ability to do all affairs and to do all things, in which Allah will cause all of us likewise to die. Then He will raise us at an appointed time, gathering all the creation for them to be shown their deeds of what they put forth. But before the deeds, as we talked about last week, and we talked about on many occasions, that Allah on the day of resurrection, before the actions, Allah is going to examine the belief system of the people first. The belief system will take precedence before anything. And if that's not intact, then you will fail the first part of the test. And then you could be from the inhabitants of hell. Either if a person died in a state of kufr, or if he died in a state of hypocrisy, or if it's hypocrisy in the i'tiqad, in the belief, then he could be from the inhabitants of the hellfire in the hereafter. And then if you pass that first test, after your iman is intact and your aqidah is intact and everything of the foundation has been laid down and it is preserved as you preserved it in this world, then the next part of the test will come, which is the examinations of the good deeds or the bad deeds. For Allah says, when he raised them up after 309 years, they asked themselves, he says, ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاهُمْ لِيَتَسَاءَلُوا بَيْنَهُمْ قَالَ قَائِلٌ مِّنْهُمْ كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. He says, after we raised them after 300 years, they asked them a question between themselves, how long we were asleep. Some of them said they would asleep a day or half a day. 309 years. Allah caused them to be in a deep sleep with their eyes wide open. And despite of that, in their minds, they thought they were only asleep for a half a day, even though it was a period of 309 years. Was to let one know that when he's in his grave, that Allah can do the exact same thing, where all of us are dead in the graves awaiting to be what? Raised in order to be judged. That Allah Ta'ala will allow the creation to be under the dirt, and they will be in a state when they'll be raised up as if they were only in a state or sleep for a short period of time. Then, as we know that the people will be gathered on the day of resurrection, they will be gathered with either what? They will be gathered with no clothes, uncircumcised. And some of them will be having humiliation on their face, as we know on the day of resurrection. And some of them will likewise be having light and radiance radiance coming out from their bodies due to either their iman and also the abundance of righteous actions they performed in this dunya. That they end also the wudu from that which the Messenger of Allah encouraged, that is ummah. That will be from the signs that he'll be able to distinguish who is this ummah from the followers of Muhammad sallallahu on the day of resurrection, which is also likewise part of righteous actions. As we talked about, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, on the day of resurrection, every test that will be put out in which Allah will lay down for the creation depends on two affairs: your iman and your aqidah, and secondly, your righteous actions. Whether or not you did an abundance of it, or were you from those who are negligent in this world, who committed a lot of actions which were displeasing to Allah. And depending on the amount of righteous actions you did in this dunya, your light will be more radiant and your light will be more strong. And also likewise, depending on your righteous actions in this world, likewise, your tests will become either easier or it will become more difficult. And from those tests, as we talked about, is passing over the bridge over hell. And some of the people will be passing very quickly, and some of the people will be very slow, and some of the people will be falling in the hellfire because of certain actions they committed in this world that they did not follow up with good righteous actions, or they did not make tawbah from. And even some of the Muslims, likewise, will be falling in hell. Will it be the hellfire of the kuffar? No, it will be the hellfire of the muwahhideen. Narul muwahhideen, the hellfire who people who died upon tawheed. Yes, there'll be the narul muwahhideen. There'll be the hellfire of the people of tawheed, where they'll die in a state where they'll have to be purified of certain actions that they committed in this world, and certain oppressive things that they did, and in certain things they should have stayed away from, or they should have made tawbah from, and they'll have to be purified. From those people who will be in the hellfire is those who's upon deviant creeds and aqa'id of that which is pertaining to the deviation of the belief system. They, if they die in that state, they will be from those of the inhabitants of the hellfire temporarily. They will have to be purified, because the ultimate fisk, the ultimate evil action, which is worse than sin of bad actions, is to have some type of fisk in the i'tiqad, in the belief system, which is the worst type of sin that a person can have, which is in deviation in your belief system, which we talked about, in which Allah will examine first on the day of resurrection. As we'll talk about in the last ayat in Surah Al-Kahf, where Allah Ta'ala says clearly in his book, where he says, إِن يَظْهَرُوا عَلَيْكُمْ يَرْجُمُوكُمْ أَوْ يُعِيدُوكُمْ فِي مِلَّتِهِمْ وَلَن تُفْلِحُوا أَبَدًا. He says, if you now come out, and if the king from that person who was upon polytheism is aware of you, he will torture you. Or he will force you to return back to their way of polytheism. And listen to what Allah says. And in that instance, you will never be victorious. Meaning that you will be in the hereafter, not having any prosperity or any success in this world, likewise in the hereafter, if you die upon an i'tiqad, a belief system or religion of other than Allah Ta'ala has made valid in this dunya, which is Islam, and which is Salafiyah, and Salafiyah is Islam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Allah Ta'ala had made a sign nullifying falsehood and establishing, like we said, that he is able to do all things. As they asked them, how many days did you remain? They said a day or a half. Then Allah Ta'ala said, in order to establish the haqq, he said, فَابْعَثُوا أَحَدَكُمْ بِوَرِقِكُمْ هَذِهِ إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَيُّهَا أَزْكَى طَعَامًا فَلْيَأْتِكُمْ بِرِزْقٍ مِّنْهُ وَلْيَتَلَطَّفْ وَلَا يُشْعِرَنَّ بِكُمْ أَحَدًا. Then Allah Ta'ala says in his book, send one of amongst you in order to attain some type of sustenance. They will sleep for 309 years. Of course, they're going to be hungry now. So now we know that they were before they were put to sleep, they were in a state of oppression. You'll find that Ibn Kathir mentions about this story. He says that they retreated from the people of polytheism because that's the ultimate fitna. That the people only seclude yourself, and I want everyone to listen to this. Because shaitan puts a misunderstanding in a lot of our brothers' minds and in our sisters. They start to say now, it's too much fitna. Let's seclude ourselves from the people of the truth. Let's head for the hills, or let's head in the land where we will be introverted. Almost like becoming an aesthetic. Separating yourselves from now the people. The time where you separate yourself, brothers and sisters, is when there's no one from the truth around, ever. They're gone. How many people do we know when we see them when they separated themselves from the masajid, especially the masajid of Salafiyah, or they separated themselves from the people, and you see them years later, they're going through something. Allah's testing them in another way. Those ahadith are only applied when there's no one from the people of the truth left. Then Ibn Mas'ud said, if they're not left, you're the jama'ah. Even if you're by yourself. Because the people of the truth are non-existent. Or when you see some type of fitna when your life is being what? Threatened. Anyone going through that here? No. Everyone is clearly, openly practicing Salafiyah. You can clearly wear a thobe. You can clearly grow your beard. Clearly our sisters can wear jilbab. Where's the fitna? Men be men and put up with the fitna of this dunya. It's only temporary. Cling to the people of the truth. Wallahi, since 1995 when I became Muslim, I've never seen anyone that secluded themselves or be alone by themselves and see that shaitan start plucking them off bit by bit. Start being involved with girls, start sinning, start seeing himself getting extremely weak in his religion. And then when you talk to him, it's like his mind is twisted. Now you have to really help him and give him a dosage of medicine. You only now retreat to the hills. Your life is being threatened. The people of the truth are gone. Are they gone now? Stay and what? Put up with the harm of the people's truth is better for you. Then you mix with the people of deviance, and then you enjoy relaxation of the dunya momentarily. Then you die upon some deviancy in your i'tiqad and your deviance in your what? Some type of deviance in your methodology or your belief or in your foundation, and then you might be raised with them on the day of resurrection. Who you better be raised with, the people of the truth or the people of deviance or the people of kufr? Who do you want to be raised with? As we know clearly, the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned and said, Anta ma'a man ahbabt. Oh, you will only be on the day of resurrection of who you love. You'll be raised with them. And you'll be gathered with them. And I know that everyone in this room, when you hear Salafi and you hear the people of the Sunnah talks, it absolutely makes sense. The other masajid, when you hear them talk, it's like, when is it going to be over? Hurry up so we can get back to our business in the streets. But when you hear Salafi, it penetrates your heart. Why? Because it's preparing you for the true reality coming to take all of us, which is the hereafter, which is the true life that everyone should be preparing for. But however, we're busy with a bunch of nonsense, and we lend our ears to a bunch of nonsense, and we're not going to turning our affairs back to the correct people who understand the religion, so they can remove some doubts that we have in our minds. But however, we're attracted to what? Relaxation and comfort. If he has a nice, pretty masjid, that means he's upon the truth. Hasha wa kalla. Rather, we know that Allah Ta'ala says, وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you was to obey the majority of people in this world, they would take you away from the what? The path of Allah. To let you know that the majority of people are upon misguidance. And that there's a real small ratio of the people clinging to the truth. Allah has established that in his book. Yes, I have to beat everyone down so I can raise everyone back up as far as your strength, Iman. I'm not talking about life. I'm talking about bringing the life of the sunnah back in the people as far as clinging to what is correct. I'm not talking about bringing death back to life. La. So that's for the people who try to listen to my recording and twist my words like last week. I'm talking about bringing life of the sunnah in the hearts of the people, because the person on the microphone is the doctor. And he's trying to what? Cure your sicknesses before you die, so you can meet Allah in the best state. When a person is on this microphone, know for sure he's your doctor. He is trying to what? Cure you of some sicknesses and illnesses, which is the worst form, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, which is the diseases of the heart, which no one should want to what? Die upon and meet Allah in that state. As Allah Ta'ala mentioned in his book, after he caused them to die, he said, we allowed the people after 309 years to be aware of them again. And when they sent one of their companions out to obtain the provisions, and when one of the companions of the cabinets or the companions of the cave gave his money to one of those who are selling the bread or the sustenance they were trying to attain, he looked at it. And he said, this money is about 300-something years old. Because we know that Allah, when he resurrected them after the 309 years passed, he wanted to establish upon the people and remove the ambiguity that he is able to do all things and cause the people to die and raise their souls and their bodies together. Both. And that's exactly what he did. Tabaraka wa ta'ala. Brought them back in a state where they were in a state now where their bodies were in the perfect state,
Their skin was in a perfect state. Everything was correct and sound and upright. Physically and as far as in their speech, the only thing they were looking for now was their sustenance. Listen to the last part of the ayah. He says, when he became when Allah wanted to make the people acquainted to what happened with the companions of the cave. And when they brought the money that was given to one of the workers who was wanted to sell them that bread or sell them that sustenance, he took it back to the king at that time. And he looked at it. It said, this hasn't been as monetary type of money, has not been around in years, over 100 years, if not more, until he started to investigate. Then when he went, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, to investigate and see the man who was asleep for 309 years, they went up to the cave. And when they went up to the cave, the companion from the companions of the cave, that man who they sent, said, let me tell my companions in the cave that you're coming in. When he informed them, he seen all of them, even the king or the ruler of that particular land. And he was astonished and amazed at what he saw. Because Allah laid down the ayat, clearly showing that he allowed them to be in a state of slumber for 309 years until they had said this part of the ayah. And this is where the satanic type of part came in. He says, Allah Ta'ala says, and we'll end it off here, where he says, Subhanahu Jalla fil Ula. وَكَذَلِكَ أَعْثَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَعْلَمُوا أَنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ وَأَنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا إِذْ يَتَنَازَعُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ أَمْرَهُمْ فَقَالُوا بَنُوا عَلَيْهِمْ بُنْيَانًا رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِهِمْ قَالَ الَّذِينَ غَلَبُوا عَلَى أَمْرِهِمْ لَنَتَّخِذَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ مَسْجِدًا. When Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, and the last part of the ayah, on the first part of the ayah, where he says that likewise we brought them back after they were dead, in order to let the people know that the promise of Allah is the haqq, and that the day of resurrection there's no doubt in it. Hence they were what? Disputing amongst themselves in that. Meaning of what they had of doubt that Allah could bring back the bodies along with the souls. That's what Allah is talking about. Refuting that ambiguity. And like I said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, the Quran is filled with refutations against batil. All types of batil you can think of. If you truly attain the fiqh of the Quran, you'll find that Allah refuted hypocrisy. Allah refuted kufr. Allah refuted the Jews. Allah refuted the Christians. Allah refuted deviant sects. And it goes on and on and on and on. Yes, Allah refuted the munafiqeen. He refuted the mudhabzibeen. He refuted the nasara. He refuted also the people who's the wathaniyin. People of ashab al-awthan wal-asnam. Filled with refutations against people of polytheism. Against the people of kufr. The people of the book, Allah refuted them. People who tried to say that the Prophet ﷺ was a magician, refuted them. And Allah wanted to also establish that the Quran was the truth. Bring 3 ayat. Bring 1 ayat, 3 ayats. Bring a surah from it. Allah challenged them. To this day, even though the Arab during the time of the message of Allah was the most eloquent of the people, of the Quraysh, they had the most eloquency. They used to make poetry and brag about the different sins they used to commit of killing and murder, and how their tribes used to destroy other tribes in war. And they used to bring poetry that was what? That was the most greatest and the most what? Eloquent of poetry as far as the Arabic language. And Allah said, bring 3 ayats. No more, no less. They were never able to do it. And no one to this day can do it. Because the challenge is still there for anyone to bring 3 ayats similar to the Quran. Still to this day, no one can do it. And they will not be able to do it. Because Allah himself has said they will not be able to do it. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَنْ تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارِ فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي عُدَّتْ. As Allah Ta'ala says in his book, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَنْ تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُ النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. The That's the ayah. Well, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says in his book, he says, and you will not be able to do it. If you're not able to do it, and you will not be able to do it, then fear the hellfire, in which its fuel is men and stones, and is prepared for the kafirin. Another refutation against the people of Kufr. فَيَا مَعَاشَ الْإِخْوَةِ, prepare ourselves for death is imminent. It's upon all of us. What are we doing daily to prepare for it? I'm asking everyone. The greatest of the ibadah that you could be doing is trying to learn the proper aqidah. Sitting in majalis of ilm. Trying to raise ignorance off yourself. Praying in the masajid. Staying away from all the nonsense in the street with the dating and the girlfriends and being on social media, doing things and taking pictures, because I see it all day with brothers taking and posing in social media like a bunch of women. Real men do not have these pictures on social media. They don't have to take pictures and pose for some women and try to get some girls. True men don't have to do that. Yes, I'm saying it. Real men don't have to take pictures of themselves posing in social media, trying to look fly. And you're not fly. You look like an insecure man trying to get some chicks. That's how you look. You look like you have some insecurities about yourself. If you truly fly and decent, and I'm going to use some street words, you think you're decent? I ain't got to be on social media to get no women. Women know I'm decent without taking pictures of me. They know I'm decent. I don't got to do anything. I don't have to take no pictures of myself. If that's what truly you believe in yourself. All the people who have some doubt of their manhood and their insecurities, take pictures of themselves on social media, having a bunch of hundreds of followers of women. Fear Allah, brothers and sisters. Leave that nonsense off. You don't see since this picture in social media has been now widespread and the people walking the door to fit in the hall, the communities are going backwards. People don't see it. You don't peep it. You people don't realize it. And also my last thing on this khutbah, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to leave this off. What have we done now in these areas in Chester, Delaware, and I'm calling everybody out, to attaining the greatest achievement and success of any community? What is it? It's having a lot of money, a lot of businesses, because we have alhamdulillah, a lot of Muslims with money. I think we have achieved that goal. Have we achieved a great goal where we raise somebody from our community that has truly went overseas and attained proper knowledge? Finish the books of Kitab al-Tawheed. Finish Usul al-Thalatha at the hands of the ulama. It brought him back here and started disseminating knowledge to their community. That's true success. Have anyone raised it, one yet, strong students of knowledge from these communities? I'm challenging everyone. Think. Everyone think. That's true humiliation. Not one strong Salafi student of knowledge do we have. That shows that what we're doing is something wrong. And you know what? I'm thinking where it's coming from. Brothers and sisters in these areas need to rid themselves of that territorial mentality. He's from Delaware. I'm not going over there. I don't mess with them dudes like that. You see what that mentality has got our communities? Humiliation. Because the strongest students of knowledge you have from Chester was the person that studied, is a Hizbi, is now a Hizbi. One of the strongest students of knowledge went over to Medina and got what? Misguided. In the kingdom of Tawheed. And came back and now is with what? Those people are upon deviancy. People know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about one student of knowledge that had came over there, studied Aqidah, finished school, obtained what? True academics, credentials, qualifications, sat with the ulama, came back, disseminated ilm. And the fact that we don't have one shows that we are doing something wrong. And I'm starting from the beginning. If my brothers are having a mentality, Delaware, we don't mess with Chester. I don't mess with them guys like that. I don't cross that territory. Brothers and sisters, you know that's jahiliyyah. That is pre-Islamic ignorance that the Messenger of Allah prohibited. And where has that mentality gotten us? Nowhere. That's why Allah is disgracing the communities by not having no type of strong students of knowledge. Removing the ilm. We have to call ourselves to account so we can what? Be better. Not one strong student of knowledge do we have. One. I exclude myself because I'm from another city initially. Not saying that I will what? Want to help, which I'm doing now. But I'm talking about someone who was raised from this area. Bringing him and putting him sitting with the true ulama. Sitting with Sheikh Rabi'. Sitting with Sheikh Ubaid. Sitting with Sheikh Abdullah al-Bukhari. Bringing him back here, disseminating ilm. Who? Name one. Just one. Finished school, has proper credentials, put his time in with the ulama, graduated to the end of it. Name one. From Chester and Delaware. Who? That means we have to start getting on the ball, where we have to now start what? Encouraging people to come to class. Getting our youth ready. Because if something happens to me, what do you guys have? What do you have now? I don't want myself nothing to happen. We want a backup plan, even though we know the affairs with Allah, but we still have to take the asbab and be ready in case something happens. Do we have a backup plan? Do we have a contingency? I'm asking. Call ourselves to account so we can start getting ourselves together. This is what I do every week so we can start doing what we're supposed to do now. Getting on the ball, bringing our kids now, seeing who's smart, who has memorization, who also likewise teaching them, preparing them to go overseas and sit with the ulama, sit with Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, sitting with Sheikh Ubaid, sitting with Sheikh Abdul Muhsin al-Abbad, sitting with Sheikh Abdullah al-Bukhari, sitting with Sheikh Rabi', sitting with all these ulama, preparation. So now when he comes back, he has the proper aqidah, proper belief, he has the credentials, he's ready. That's what I'm trying to do. Preparing the ulama. That's the ultimate victory and success, brothers. When we have truly raised someone from amongst ourselves, some alim, or someone of a strong student of knowledge at least, to come back and raise our communities out from the darkness that you see the people are involved in every day. And until we get our acts together, where I'm not from Chester, or Chester is not from Delaware, we don't mess with you guys like that. Based upon what? Because we know that that type of mentality is a mentality that has been holding all the communities back. Any type of unsuriyah, of racism, or being territorial, that I'm from so-and-so street, I'm from that area, I don't mess with them guys like that. Where do you get that from? That's all type of racism, and it's all the jahiliyyah that the Messenger of Allah severely warned against. Where do you get that from? That's from the affairs of the jahiliyyah. And if we do not remove this type of mentality from our minds, then you'll see the state continuing like this. No students of knowledge, no one of strong students of knowledge is being raised. Coming back, disseminating the ilm. It will continue. I ask Allah ta'ala to rectify our communities. And I ask Allah ta'ala to also instill in our hearts to be better people, and to also raise the ignorance off of themselves, and to also likewise attaining beneficial knowledge. And not only that, I wish Allah knows best. One day I can sit in this masjid one day, and I can see children, whether they be black or Arab or non-Arab, sitting together and playing together. And that they all benefit from each other from usul al-thalatha, in kitab al-tawheed, and they're exchanging. And I see them playing together. And I see them trying to learn. That's what I would love to see. Why? Because the adults are out of pocket. The adults still have some sicknesses. And it's sad that we pass this mentality on to our children of racism and unsuriyah, and I don't mess with you like that. Listen, you from Chester, I don't mess with you like that. Even though you're pop, you cool, but I don't, you know what I mean? Or I'm out of your nine, out of, you know, we don't mess with you like that. You know, keep our distance. All jahiliyat. One day, inshallah, I hope that I can see that one day. That our kids is playing in the masjid. They don't care. They look at color. They don't care about their nonsense or where they come from or what area they come from. Or whether they be light or black. Or we from the light-skinned crew. You from the brown crew. That's the brown-skinned crew over there. We're the light-skinned crew. All this nonsense. I hope one day we can rid ourselves of this nonsense so we can get our acts together so we can not only prepare our children to the more fitna that's coming. Because more fitna is coming, brothers and sisters. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. What are we doing to prepare our children to what's coming? What are we doing? You teaching them Aqidah Salafiyah? Because that's the only way you can save them. Making sure they're being educated in the foundations and the usul of Salafiyah. Other than that, you can try to pacify them with clothes and dunya and all that. At the end of the day, if you do pacify him with that without doing what is most correct, he will still be misguided. That is the ultimate disgrace of a father, to see that his son or his children are misguided. I'm sure everyone in this room does not want to be tested with that. That I have to deal with a father, I have to deal with a daughter that's misguided. That's a test. May Allah excuse us and pardon us from that. But if you did what you could do and Allah still decided to misguide them, then of course you could say, I did the best I could. But did we do the best we could yet? Can we use that excuse yet? Can we say that I sat my children in the lessons? Even though I was busy, I put them in the lessons. I allowed them to finish these books of Usul al-Thalatha. I tried my best. Have we exhausted every avenue? Or are we still out on the streets chasing after women and being on social media taking pictures? Bring ourselves to account, brothers. We ask Allah to give tawfiq to all of our communities. Inshallah, you guys love me for it, y'all hate me for it now. But years later, I'll be like, man, I'm glad he was hard on us because I got myself together now. I got myself together, alhamdulillah. But today, everyone's going to have an attitude, man, who you think he is, that guy, that old man, he always giving it to him, man, he always coming down because you guys need it. We all need it to keep ourselves straight for the goal, what's coming. The hereafter is the true reality, not this dunya. And getting ourselves ready for it. Because any given moment, your hereafter starts. You die right now in that spot, the hereafter starts. May Allah guide us all. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa qim as-salam.